Engagement party in the middle of the night. Crystal chandeliers illuminated the main hall. Wealthy guests everywhere. Press crowding in. A young woman in an ivory dress was being held by the arm, looking terrified. Across the room, a man in a simple shirt walked straight in, carrying an old jacket. Security's voice rang out. "You're not allowed in this area." He stopped, looked directly at the woman, then spoke softly, but clearly enough for the entire room to hear. "She's with me." Nobody could say a word. The billionaire's future bride stood frozen, lips trembling. That man, the one who had disappeared from her life 6 years ago, along with a secret no one dared mention. Eli Warren adjusted his work shirt and checked the maintenance schedule. 36 years old, single dad, former air rescue soldier, now living quietly as a hotel technician. His daughter Lucy sat in the small break room, carefully folding paper cranes. 8 years old. She loved drawing and always made little wings to give to her dad. "Daddy, why do you have to work at the fancy party?" Lucy asked, adding another crane to her collection. "Just fixing their sound system, sweetheart. We'll be home soon." Eli had taken a temporary job at the luxury resort, where billionaire Evan Sterling was hosting his engagement party. He had no idea the bride was someone from his past. The grand ballroom buzzed with wealth and power, crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, champagne flowing like water. At the center of it all stood Anna Cole, 30 years old, former battlefield nurse, now engaged to Sterling. Beautiful, but her eyes held a sadness that expensive jewelry couldn't hide. Beside her, Evan Sterling commanded the room, 40 years old, arrogant CEO who'd built his fortune on other people's sacrifices. Eli was carrying his toolbox toward the sound booth when security stopped him. "Dressed like that? You think you can just walk into the VIP area?" The nearby wealthy guests burst into laughter. "Maintenance workers these days," one woman sneered. "No sense of proper boundaries." Lucy had followed her father, wanting to bring him a glass of water. A staff member roughly pushed her aside and she stumbled. Eli immediately knelt down, gently catching his daughter. "It's okay, sweetheart," he said calmly. "Some places they forget who actually built them." His voice was quiet, but it carried a weight that made a few guests uncomfortable. "Sir, you and your child need to leave," the security guard insisted. "I'm here to fix your sound system," Eli replied, "unless you prefer it broken." Just then, the microphone on stage screeched with feedback. The MC tapped it frantically. "Can we get a technician up here? The audio is completely dead." All eyes turned to Eli. Reluctantly, the event coordinator waved him forward. "Fine, but make it quick." Eli handed Lucy his jacket and walked onto the stage. The spotlights hit his face as he adjusted the equipment with practiced efficiency. That's when Anna saw him. Her champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. She stood frozen, staring at the man on stage, the man she thought had died 6 years ago. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Evan asked, noticing her distress. But Anna couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. The spotlight illuminated Eli's profile perfectly. The same strong jaw, the same gentle hands that had once pulled her from a burning helicopter. She watched as he finished fixing the microphone, testing it with a soft tap. Testing. 1, 2. His voice. God, his voice was exactly the same. The crowd applauded as the sound system came back to life. But Anna heard none of it. When Eli stepped down from the stage, their eyes met across the crowded room. For one impossible moment, 6 years vanished. Anna's lips moved, forming a word so quiet only she could hear it. "Eli." He stopped walking, stopped breathing. Lucy tugged at his shirt. "Daddy, why is that pretty lady crying?" Eli looked at his daughter, then back at Anna, recognition dawning in his eyes. The woman he'd saved, the woman he'd loved, the woman who'd disappeared from his life without explanation. Standing there in a wedding dress, about to marry another man. The engagement party continued around them, but for Eli and Anna, the world had stopped. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to know how far this story has traveled, maybe to a place you never expected. And if you've ever believed that kindness doesn't need a suit or business card, hit subscribe to see what happens when truth steps into the spotlight. Evan Sterling stepped forward, placing a possessive arm around Anna's shoulders. His smile was strained, but his voice carried through the ballroom. "Darling, do you know this man? He's just a maintenance worker." The wealthy guests whispered among themselves, sensing drama. "A former nurse marrying a billionaire, and now she knows some repair guy?" One socialite murmured loudly. "How interesting," another added with a smirk. Anna opened her mouth to speak, but Evan's grip on her arm tightened. "Don't embarrass me," he hissed in her ear, quiet enough that only she could hear. "This is our night." Eli heard the tone, even if not the words. He looked directly at Anna, saying nothing, but his eyes asked a silent question. "Are you okay?" Lucy stood beside her father, clutching her paper crane tightly. She watched the adults treat her daddy badly and didn't understand why. Security moved closer to escort them out. "Sir, you've done your job. Time to leave." "Yes," Evan called out loud enough for everyone to hear. "We don't need any more disruptions tonight." The crowd chuckled cruelly. A reporter in the corner started recording with her phone, sensing a story. Eli knelt down, hugged Lucy, and started walking toward the exit. He wouldn't cause a scene, not in front of his daughter. But just as they reached the door, sparks flew from the main electrical panel. The lights flickered ominously. A small fire erupted from the lighting rig directly above the stage, right where Anna was standing for photos. Nobody reacted fast enough, except Eli. He dropped his toolbox and sprinted across the ballroom floor. Years of rescue training kicked in automatically. He reached Anna just as a burning cable was about to fall. Without thinking, he grabbed the live wire with his bare hands, redirecting it away from her. The electrical shock sent pain shooting up his arm, but he held on until Anna was clear. The ballroom erupted in chaos, guests screaming, security scrambling. But Anna only had eyes for the man who just saved her life. Again. Eli's left hand was burned, but he was checking her for injuries. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice gentle despite the pain. That's when she saw it, the tattoo on his wrist, now visible where his sleeve had been burned away. R47. The same tattoo she'd seen in nightmares for 6 years. The same symbol she'd described to reporters when talking about the people who saved me. "Oh my God," Anna whispered, staring at the marking. "R47, that's your unit." Evan pushed through the crowd, his face red with anger. "What the hell is R47? That's the unit that was disbanded for breaking protocol." Eli slowly stood up, looking directly at him. "No, we were disbanded for saving people without asking permission first." The crowd had gathered around them, phones recording everything. "You don't understand," Anna said, her voice shaking. R47 was the helicopter rescue unit that pulled civilians out of the embassy bombing 6 years ago. "That operation was classified," Evan snapped, "and it was a disaster. People died because of reckless soldiers. People died because someone cut corners on safety equipment," Eli replied calmly. "We saved who we could with what we had." Anna was crying now, memories flooding back. "The helicopter crash. I was trapped in the wreckage. Someone pulled me out before the fuel tank exploded." She looked at Eli's burned hand, then at his face. "It was you. You carried me out. I tried to find you afterward, but they said everyone from R47 was either dead or classified." The ballroom had gone completely silent. "I remember your voice," Anna continued, tears streaming down her face. "You kept saying, 'Stay with me,' while the building collapsed around us." Eli's jaw tightened. "I told you to forget about me, to forget about that night. How could I forget the person who saved my life?" Evan was getting desperate. "This is ridiculous. Anna, you're imagining things. The stress of the wedding?" "No," Anna said firmly, pulling away from him. "I know exactly who saved me that night, and I know why I could never stop thinking about him." A reporter in the crowd spoke up. "Excuse me, but are you saying this maintenance worker is actually a war hero?" "He's the reason I'm alive," Anna said simply. Lucy had been watching everything, confused but protective of her father. "My daddy saves people," she said in her small, clear voice. "That's what daddies do." The crowd looked down at the little girl, then back at Eli. Some of the wealthy guests who'd been laughing at him earlier now looked ashamed. But Evan wasn't finished. "Even if this is true," he said loudly, "that doesn't change anything. Anna is with me now. We're engaged. We have a life together." Eli looked at Anna one more time. "Do you?" he asked quietly. The question hung in the air between them. Anna looked at her engagement ring, at Evan, at the life she'd built trying to forget the man who'd given her a second chance. Then she looked at Eli, at the burn on his hand from saving her again, at little Lucy holding his other hand. For the first time in 6 years, Anna Cole knew exactly where she belonged. The cameras kept rolling as the truth began to unfold in front of everyone. And somewhere in the crowd, a security guard quietly deleted the footage of him pushing around a war hero and his daughter. Anna stared at the R47 tattoo on Eli's burned wrist, her hands trembling. R47? My God, that's really your unit code. Evan stepped between them, his face flushed with anger and desperation. "This is insane. That unit was disbanded for criminal negligence. They caused the explosion that killed dozens of people." Eli turned to face him, his voice deadly calm. "No, we were disbanded because we saved people without following proper channels. We pulled civilians out while politicians argued about jurisdiction." The crowd pressed closer, sensing the truth was about to explode. Anna couldn't stop staring at Eli. "You disappeared after that night. I spent months trying to find you. The military said all R47 personnel were either dead or classified. They told me you died in the hospital," Eli said quietly. "Said the injuries were too severe. I almost did die, but I kept thinking about what you said to me in the helicopter. Stay with me. Don't give up. It's what kept me fighting." Evan was getting frantic. "Anna, you're confused. The trauma, the medications." "I'm not confused," Anna snapped, her voice carrying across the silent ballroom. "I remember everything. The embassy bombing, the helicopter crash, the man who carried me out while the building collapsed." She looked directly at Eli. "I remember you telling me your daughter's name. Lucy. You said you had to get home to Lucy." Lucy looked up at her father with wide eyes. "Daddy, you saved the pretty lady?" But Evan wasn't giving up. "Even if this fairy tale is true, it doesn't matter. R47 was responsible for that disaster in the first place." "Actually," came a voice from the crowd, "that's not what happened." Everyone turned to see a woman with a press badge pushing through the guests. "I'm Sarah Martinez from Channel 7 News. I've been investigating the embassy bombing for years." She pulled out her tablet, swiping to a video file. "This is classified footage that was leaked last month. It shows what really happened that night." The video began playing on her tablet, but she connected it to the ballroom's main screen. Grainy security footage filled the wall. The timestamp read 6 years ago. In the video, they could see the embassy compound. Smoke everywhere. People running. Then a helicopter appeared, hovering dangerously low near the burning building. "That's an R47 rescue chopper," Sarah explained. "They weren't supposed to be there. They disobeyed direct orders to attempt this rescue." The crowd watched in silence as figures rappelled from the helicopter into the smoke. "The official report blamed R47 for the explosion," Sarah continued. "But this footage shows the truth. On screen, a figure emerged from the building carrying an unconscious woman. Even in the grainy video, you could see him struggling against the flames. "That's you," Anna whispered, looking at Eli. "And that's me." But Sarah wasn't finished. "Here's what the official report didn't mention." She switched to another file. "This is internal communications from Sterling Construction Company. They were the contractors for the embassy's recent renovations." Evan went pale. That's not relevant." "Sterling Construction cut safety protocols to save money," Sarah read from the document. "They used substandard wiring that caused the electrical fire, the same fire that triggered the gas explosion." The ballroom erupted in whispers. "Evan Sterling was the project manager," Sarah continued. "He personally approved the cost-cutting measures that led to the disaster." Anna stepped away from Evan like he was poisonous. You caused the explosion that almost killed me?" "Anna, let me explain." "Explain what?" Her voice was rising. "That you've been lying to me for 6 months? That you're the reason I needed to be rescued in the first place. Eli stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. The R-47 unit knew something was wrong with the building. We'd been monitoring safety violations for weeks. That's why we were in the area when it happened. And that's why you were disbanded, Sarah added, because you threatened to expose Sterling Construction's negligence. The crowd was turning ugly now. Wealthy guests who'd been laughing at Eli were now staring at Evan with disgust. You let war heroes take the blame for your mistakes, someone called out. Evan was backing toward the exit. This is all circumstantial. You can't prove. Actually, we can, Sarah said, pulling up more documents. Sterling Construction paid millions in hush money to families of the victims. All documented. All traced back to your personal accounts. Anna was crying now, but not from sadness, from rage. How long have you known? She demanded. How long have you known that I was there that night? Evan's silence was answer enough. You sought me out, Anna realized. You found me on purpose, because I was a witness. I loved you. You used me. Anna ripped off her engagement ring and threw it at his feet. You've been using me to make sure I never remembered the truth. The ring skittered across the marble floor, coming to rest near Lucy's feet. The little girl picked it up, studying the huge diamond. Daddy, why would someone give away something so pretty? Eli knelt down to her level. Because sometimes, sweetheart, the most beautiful things can be the most dangerous. Anna walked over to them, her expensive dress rustling. Lucy, she said softly, can I tell you something about your daddy? Lucy nodded. 6 years ago, your daddy saved my life. He carried me out of a burning building when everyone else said it was too dangerous. He's the bravest man I've ever known. Lucy beamed with pride. I know. Daddy says being brave means helping people even when you're scared. Anna looked up at Eli, tears streaming down her face. I've been looking for you for 6 years, and you've been here all along. The crowd watched in silence as she stepped closer to him. When you said she's with me tonight, did you mean it? Eli looked at this woman he'd thought was lost forever, then at his daughter, who was watching with the pure hope that only children possess. I meant it 6 years ago, he said quietly. I meant it tonight. I'll mean it for as long as you'll let me. Anna smiled through her tears. Then say it again. Please. Eli took her hand gently, mindful of his burns. In a voice that carried across the entire ballroom, he said the words that would change everything. She's with me. Security cameras captured it all. The truth, the revelation, the moment when love conquered lies. And in the background, barely visible, Evan Sterling slipped out the back door, leaving his empire of deception crumbling behind him. By morning, the story had exploded across every news platform. Single dad saves billionaire's fiancée, exposes 6-year cover-up, dominated headlines worldwide. The video clips from the engagement party had gone viral overnight. She's With Me was trending globally, along with R-47 Truth and Hero Returns. Comments poured in from around the world. This man is what a real hero looks like. 6 years of lies finally exposed. That little girl drawing wings around his scar made me cry. Justice for R-47. News vans surrounded the small coastal house where Eli and Lucy lived. Reporters knocked constantly, wanting exclusive interviews with the mystery hero. But Eli wasn't answering any calls. Instead, he was in his workshop, teaching Lucy how to fix a broken radio while his bandaged hand healed. Daddy, why won't you talk to the TV people? Lucy asked, carefully holding a tiny screwdriver. Because sometimes, sweetheart, the most important conversations happen quietly. A soft knock interrupted them. Through the window, Eli could see Anna standing on his porch. No cameras, no reporters, just her. He opened the door cautiously. How did you find me? I never stopped looking, Anna said simply. Even when I thought you were dead, I kept your address from the hospital records. She looked different without the designer dress and jewelry. Younger, more like the nurse he remembered from 6 years ago. I brought something, she said, pulling out a manila folder. Documents that prove everything, about Sterling Construction, about R-47, about what really happened that night. Eli glanced at the papers but didn't take them. I don't need proof of what I lived through. But the world does, Anna said firmly. The families of the other R-47 members deserved to know their loved ones were heroes, not criminals. She sat down on his porch steps, exhausted. Evan's company is being investigated. The FBI seized all his records this morning. He's facing federal charges for the cover-up. Good. The government wants to reinstate R-47. Full honors, back pay for 6 years. Eli sat beside her. And what do you want? Anna looked at Lucy through the window, watching the little girl work on her radio. I want to understand why you disappeared. Why you let me think you were dead. Eli was quiet for a long moment. Because you had a life to rebuild. A career. A future. I was just a soldier with a kid to raise and no idea how to do it. So you decided for both of us? I decided to let you heal without complications. Anna turned to face him. Eli, you saved my life. Twice. Don't you think I should get to choose who I want to spend it with? Through the window they could hear Lucy singing while she worked. The same lullaby Eli used to hum during helicopter rescues to keep victims calm. She's beautiful, Anna said. Lucy, she has your eyes. She's everything good about me. Where's her mother? Cancer. When Lucy was 4, Eli's voice was soft. I promised her I'd raise Lucy somewhere safe, somewhere quiet. Anna understood now. That's why you didn't want to be found. Lucy needed stability, not a father chasing ghosts from a war. But I wasn't a ghost, Eli. I was real. I was alive. And I was looking for you. The front door opened and Lucy peeked out. Daddy, I fixed the radio. Want to hear? She turned a dial and music filled the porch. An old love song that made both adults smile sadly. Lucy, Eli said, this is Anna. She's the lady I told you about. The one from my soldier days. Lucy studied Anna with the serious expression children use when meeting someone important. Are you going to stay for dinner? Lucy asked. Daddy makes really good spaghetti. Anna looked at Eli, asking permission with her eyes. I'd love to, she said. That evening, as they sat around Eli's small kitchen table, Anna watched father and daughter together. The way Eli cut Lucy's food into perfect small pieces. How Lucy automatically saved the best part of her garlic bread for her dad. This was what family looked like. Not the cold perfection of Evan's world, but warm chaos and genuine care. Anna, Lucy said during dessert, do you know how to fold paper cranes? I'm afraid not. I can teach you. Daddy says they're for wishes, and people who need to remember they can fly. As Lucy demonstrated the delicate folds, Anna realized something profound. She'd spent 6 years trying to rebuild her life, getting her nursing degree, climbing the social ladder, trying to become someone worthy of being saved. But she'd had it backwards. The person who'd saved her had never needed her to be anyone other than who she was. Eli, she said after Lucy went to bed, I need to tell you something. What? I never stopped loving you. Not for 6 years, not for one day. Eli looked at her across his simple living room, with its second-hand furniture and Lucy's artwork covering the walls. Anna, I can't give you the life Evan could. You're the man who taught me that being safe isn't about having money. It's about being with someone who will run toward danger to protect you. She stood up, decision made. I'm not asking you to change your life, Eli. I'm asking if there's room in it for one more. Outside, the ocean waves crashed against the shore, washing away the old world to make room for something new. A quiet afternoon by the ocean. Eli was fixing the old roof panels of their small house. Lucy sat on the porch, folding another paper crane. Anna arrived carrying a wooden frame photograph, the moment when Eli saved her at the engagement party, captured by a reporter's camera. People keep asking me why I didn't have another wedding, she said softly. I told them I already met someone who taught me the real meaning of promises. Eli looked out at the sea, his expression peaceful. His wrist still bore the burn mark, but around the R-47 tattoo, Lucy had drawn small blue wings with her marker. Daddy, I added wings so people know that anyone with these scars helped other people fly up. Eli smiled, touching his daughter's head gently. Scars aren't something to be ashamed of, sweetheart. They're proof that we can still stand up after we've been hurt. Anna watched father and daughter, her eyes glistening. She's with me wasn't just what you said for me that night. It's how you live, always standing up for people who get left behind. The camera pulled back slowly, golden sunset light spilling across the porch. Wind carrying hundreds of paper cranes that Lucy had folded, flying out toward the ocean. One of them landed on Anna's shoulder, its delicate wings folded tight, still warm from the child's hands. Eli stood up, wiping sawdust from his hands. "You know what Lucy taught me?" he said, looking at both of them. "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't fight back. It's simply refusing to let go of what matters." Anna nodded, understanding completely. "When you said she's with me that night, you weren't just protecting me from Evan. You were telling the world that some people are worth standing up for." "Every person is worth standing up for," Eli corrected gently. Lucy ran to both of them, wrapping her small arms around their legs. "Are we going to be a family now?" she asked with the direct honesty only children possess. Anna knelt down to Lucy's level. "Would you like that?" "Yes, because families protect each other, and Daddy says the best families are the ones you choose." As the sun set over the water, the three of them stood together on the porch of the little house by the sea. Sometimes strength isn't about raising your voice to be respected. Sometimes it's about being calm enough to say, "She's with me," and meaning it with everything you have. Where are you watching from? Was there a moment in this story that made you pause when he said, "She's with me," or when his daughter drew wings around his scar? Share your emotions below. And if you believe there are still fathers out there who are quietly this strong, subscribe to Hero Dad Stories, because here we tell stories about the power of kindness,